Learning how to have grace. The tavern was in Eldermere-on-Glass, a city that learned patience long before it learned speed. Here, the canals are lined with mirrored stone, and the bridges are built from layered crystal, strong enough to carry wagons, but only if every piece is set with care. At night, lantern light fractures across the water, reflecting not just buildings, but the people who lean over the rails to look at themselves. I've noticed something over the years. People arrive in Eldermere when they are tired of being hard on themselves. That evening, mist pressed against the windows, softening the city's edges. The fire crackled gently. I wiped the counter slowly because in this place, haste always feels out of step. The door opened. A traveler entered, cloak damp, posture stiff, eyes sharp with the kind of focus that comes from carrying expectations too heavy for one pair of shoulders. She paused just inside the threshold, as if unsure whether to rest or if she was going to leave. "Please sit," I said, nodding toward the fire. "Grace doesn't arrive when you're braced for impact." She sat, and the chair exhaled beneath her. Alex glanced up from a half-polished mug and offered a quiet smile. "First rounds on the house tonight," he said softly. "Eldermere's generous when it notices strain. Tonight's story wasn't about getting everything right. It's about learning how to stay kind to yourself when you don't." Most people think that grace is something you receive after you've earned it. A reward, a pardon, a conclusion. But grace isn't the prize waiting at the finish line. Grace is what keeps you moving when you realize you've stumbled halfway through. She stared into her drink, watching firelight ripple across the surface like unsettled thoughts. People believe being hard on themselves is how growth happens, but pressure doesn't sharpen glass, it shatters it. Long before this tavern settled in Eldermere, I watched a bridge being built across the central canal. Weeks of careful layering, each panel set with reverence. On the final day, an apprentice mismeasured a seam. It was barely visible, but when the weight test came, the glass cracked, clean and loud. The apprentice went pale. His hands shook. In that moment, the mistake became his entire identity. He waited for shouting. Instead, the master knelt beside the fracture. "Good," she said. The word stunned everyone. "Now," she continued, "you'll remember. And because you remember, the next bridge will stand stronger than mine ever did." Grace didn't erase consequence. It transformed consequence into wisdom. The traveler swallowed, as if something old and familiar had finally found a name. Grace feels difficult because it refuses to let you escape discomfort through punishment. Punishment feels active. Harshness feels productive. Grace asks you to stay present instead, to say, I am responsible. I am allowed to learn. I am not disposable. Alex leaned closer to the fire, voice barely above the crackle. Most folks think kindness is soft, he said, but it takes a steady hand to hold heat without dropping it. He returned to his work, leaving the truth hanging gently in the air. The traveler let out a slow breath she hadn't realized she was holding. My friend, grace isn't learned all at once. It's practiced in unremarkable moments. When you correct yourself without insults, when you rest without justification, when you admit fault and don't spiral afterward. In Eldermere, cracked glass isn't discarded. It's etched with gold and set back into place. The city's most admired bridges are the ones that have been repaired, not hidden, not replaced, but honored. Perfection creates fragile things. Grace creates durable ones. She nodded faintly, as if committing the thought to memory. She didn't speak, but her silence carried a familiar question. How do I give grace to others when I can't give it to myself? And, well, you can't, at least not honestly. Every judgment you sharpen inward becomes a blade you'll eventually turn outward. Grace must be practiced at home before it can be shared abroad. When you learn to say, I failed and I am still worthy of care, you learn how to say it to others without resentment. Something eased behind her eyes, not healed, but no longer bleeding. The traveler stood at last, steadier than when she'd arrived. She lingered near the door, running her thumb along the grain of the wood as if grounding herself in the moment. Alex set a folded cloth into her hands. For the road, he said. Glass cuts less when you carry it carefully. She smiled, small, real, and stepped back into the mist. Eldermere reflected her kindly now, not flawless, just honest. I watched the door settle, closed, and returned to the fire, knowing she would walk more gently with herself than she had before. My friend, the lanterns will remain lit and the fire will be warm, even when the door closes behind you. Return whenever the road feels heavy, or whenever your heart seeks quiet company. Carry what serves you, leave the rest by the hearth, and know that this place and these words will wait patiently for you. Until then, travel gently, my friend, and let the night watch over you.